Well, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, and we're ready to comment on the 12 finalists of Sweden's Melodifestivalen in 2024. My name is Ervin. Joining me for this video are Sophie, Shaun, and Isaac. We're starting with Daughter, and it's not easy to write a love song.
This is my favorite song of Melodifestivalen in 2024. Admittedly, Daughter always has me. I always love her songs. I always think that she has a product that can be so competitive at Eurovision. With It's Not Easy to Write a Love Song, I feel like it's a bit of a medley of her greatest hits, in a way. I just love it, and the performance is fantastic. She managed to do something great while she was sick. I'm all here for Daughter. Apparently, Sweden doesn't want her to go to Eurovision, but I do, and I will fight for her if I manage to make it to Melfest on the viewing seats this weekend.
Yeah, I think this is really strong. Like you say, Daughter is always good, but she never seems to be as popular in Sweden as she is in the sort of Eurovision fan bases. I do think this will stand out though, because there were a lot of upbeat electro-y pop songs that sort of merged together, whereas this really, I would say, is the only strong ballad that we have in the final. I don't know if the staging is impactful enough to get votes. I like it because I think it's simplistic and it works, but there's a lot of other songs that have a lot more going on stage, so I just don't know if it will get enough attraction from that. But yeah, even though she was ill, she sung it really well. She had one sort of off note near the end, but if she gets that note right, then I think this will do very well.
Let's score Daughter song out of 10. Shaun?
10.
Isaac?
8.
I think I was listening to a different song because I didn't like this. I'll give this a 4. Sophie?
8.
Next up, we have Cazzi Opeia with Give My Heart a Break.
If there's anybody at Bubble you want to talk to about Cazzi Opeia, it's me. I'm a massive K-pop fan, and she's produced some of my favorite all-time K-pop songs and some like huge K-pop hits that have billions and billions of streams. So when I followed Melfest in 2022, I think I'm getting my years right. Her song was one of my favorites. It had such like bubblegum pop, catchy K-pop energy that I really enjoy, and I feel like this song does that just about as well, but something for me is lacking. I don't know if it's maybe the chorus is a little bit too repetitive. But yeah, I just love Cazzi Opeia. I think she's got such great energy on stage as well and such unique style, and I think something like this is very welcome in the Melfest final.
See, Sophie, as much as you love this kind of bubblegum pop, I just don't. I would not listen to this by choice, like probably ever. Nothing against you, nothing against anyone who loves this kind of music. There's a lot of people who do, but simply, this is just not my cup of tea. Where I could imagine this working, like when I was listening to the song and watching the performance, like I was imagining that this could only work in like a cartoon sort of, or like a cartoon related movie or like TV series. And the one that came to my mind was Once Upon a Time, because I think that this song would somehow fit ideally into some of the scenes in that TV series. Vocally, like this was pretty much okay, but I would never send this song to Eurovision. In my view, this would have a place maybe in Junior Eurovision at best. Not one of my favorites. I wouldn't play it, and I would not send it to Eurovision. Give My Heart a Break out of 10. Sophie?
7.
Shaun?
8.
Isaac?
Yeah, the staging reminds me of Shireen from Belgium, but it's a great song. 8.
I'll be the hater again. 3. The third act is going to be When I'm Gone, performed by Maria Sur.
Yeah, I think this song is overrated, to be honest. I think it's one of the favorites with the fan groups, but I don't know. I just think it's a bit basic, and the staging is impressive, but I think it's just a distraction from the song that is ultimately quite bland. I think this is one of the worst songs in the final, to be honest. I don't know. It just doesn't really stand out. It's not particularly catchy. It sounds a bit like Marcus Martinus's Air from last year, but a worse version of it. Yeah, I don't know. I preferred her song last year, I think it was. Yeah, I don't think this is great, but people seem to like it, so what do I know?
I agree with bits of what Isaac said, and I disagree as well. I think this is definitely a lot stronger than her song from last year, and I think that's because, as she mentioned in her little interview before she performed, this kind of more upbeat, choreography-heavy performance style is something that's more up her alley than a kind of ballad where she's just standing there. And I think she's got really good stage presence. The performance was on point, and the staging is really sleek. I do agree that maybe the staging is slightly stronger than the song, and that's maybe kind of pulling through a little bit. But I think this is relatively good. I think the production is nice, and the more I listen to it, the more I enjoy it. So I'm content that it's in the final.
Out of 10, Isaac?
6.
I'll give this one a 7. Sophie?
7.
Shaun?
6.
We continue with Annika Wickihalder and her song Light.
I don't like it. Period. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't see the point of this being in the final. It's a complete filler. And I think the only reason it's in the final is that the finalists, or whatever it's called, this new kind of second chance system, happens at the end of the 5th heat. And obviously the people who came third and fourth from the 5th heat have a huge advantage because we just heard the song, we just voted for it. So yeah, I think that's the only reason why it's there. If the system was like it was last year and years before, I don't think we'd see the song in the final. But yeah, just to talk a bit about the song, I can't, because I can't remember it. Period.
See, I'm actually one of those people who doesn't watch Melfest, and I haven't watched any performances from any of the heats. Sorry, Sophie. And I'm not familiar with any of the songs that didn't make it to the final. So I only listened to the ones that did. And when I listened to this song, like, I don't know, it gave me the impression that like this is a song in multi-Eurovision. Sorry, Shaun.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
I don't know, I'm used to having this type of music in the Maltese national selection every year, and this kind of song is every year going to finish in like 4th place or something like that in Malta. And I'm really not used to this kind of music being in Melfest. When I listened to the song, like it started off quite nicely, started building up, but then it just went so basic and so plain in the chorus that it just made me completely disinterested in it. She's a strong vocalist, she's much better than the song. The song just doesn't seem to go anywhere for me. Light out of 10, Shaun?
Because it's a song that could be a multi-Eurovision Song Contest, it's a 1.
Oh, wow. Isaac?
I think she's one of the best singers in the final, so 7.
I'll give this one a 5. Sophie?
No, I agree with Isaac. It's a 7.
Next up, we have Lisa Ajax, An Awful Liar.
I have only one thing to say about this one, and that's justice for Adam Woods. This song shouldn't be in the final. It's fine, it's inoffensive. Lisa Ajax is a good performer, and she did her best with what's a fairly basic, bog standard ballad that doesn't really have anything interesting going on. Written by Victor Crone, who is very hit and miss in terms of lyrics. Loved Over the Moon, which he wrote with Daniel Levy in the Estonian selection. This one just teeters too far into cliche for me. I don't see why this is in the final, to be honest. And Oh, Adam was so good, and I know Ervin's not going to know what I'm talking about, but you should go and listen to it. Definitely, it's like classic Melfest. I was really shocked when this made the final, to be honest.
I completely disagree. I didn't like Adam Woods. I'm always watching Melfest on the replay these days because I don't, there are better things to do on a Saturday evening these days. But I didn't like Adam Woods at all. I think Lisa Ajax deserved her place in the final. I feel like this song is a little bit throwback 2000s theme song from a film or from a series, like, those American series, One Tree Hill kind of stuff. That's what it's giving me. But you're not wrong. It's giving me that because it's kind of cliche. If this was anywhere else, like in another national final, I would probably have the same or a similar reaction to Sophie. However, my mind is clouded by how I view Melfest these days. And, word on the street, quiet as it's kept, Melfest is no longer the national final to beat anymore. So the standard for me is not as it used to be. Back to Lisa Ajax, I enjoy this song because I'm not treating this as a Eurovision song, maybe. I'm just taking it for what it is. And yeah, it just reminds me of my childhood, maybe.
I just have to add, Melfest was never the national final to beat, at least for me. But regarding Awful Liar, I didn't understand why the music of it is kind of like uplifting and kind of like Disney, but with such sad and depressive lyrics. It just didn't match. Anyways, out of 10 for Awful Liar. Sophie?
It's average. It's a 5.
Shaun?
7.
Isaac?
5.
4.
Wow.
Next up, we have LIAMOO with Dragon. I like the fact that LIAMOO always comes back with like a completely different song, but for me, he still didn't manage to beat I think that was his first entry, One Last Breath. That's something that I still occasionally listen to, and his entries after that just blacked always a little bit. With this one, I like this type of music, and I think that he's performing it really well. I also like the mood that he created on stage, with everything being like so dark, so cloudy, with dry ice, with a lot of fire coming from those constructions which are set on the stage. But the thing that I don't enjoy, and that it's the kind of trap that a lot of songs fall into, whenever there's the word fire, they're going to have a higher and a desire coming shortly after as well. So the lyrics, I think, come on, a little bit more creativity. Overall, I found this quite decent, not bad. And I do hope he does well in the competition, but he's clearly not going to win. And again, I hope to see him back again, but with something that's going to top One Last Breath.
Yeah, I mostly agree with that. I always like LIAMOO's
Finally.
He always makes the final. He always does well. Particularly like Hold You, Hold Me, Hold You. I love that song. This is good. I think I'm not the only one who compared it to Andrew Lambrou's entry. It's similar melody and sort of similar staging as well. It is good. I just don't know if it's impactful enough to have a chance at becoming sort of top 5 at Eurovision. But it's a very pleasant song to put on. It's not one that I think is definitely that competitive, but I do like having it on. It's very nice to listen to, and the pre-chorus especially I think is strong. I think the chorus is what lets it down a bit, but I like it. It's a good song. Yeah.
Dragon out of 10. I'll kick this off with a 7. Sophie?
6.
Shaun?
5.
Isaac?
7.
We're halfway through, and we're going to continue with Smash Into Pieces and Heroes Are Calling.
Yeah, I think this is absolutely incredible. I loved Smash Into Pieces, 6 Feet Under. That was my winner of Melfest last year, even above Tattoo. And then when I knew they were coming back, I was excited. I heard the snippet, and I liked it, but I wasn't sure if I was going to love it. And then when I saw it on stage, completely sold. I think it's fantastic. It's just electro pop rock perfection. It does everything I want it to do. The vocals are great. The staging is great. It's got the Mr. Rain-esque children's choir in which I like. It's just brilliant. And that final minute where it builds and he does the high note, it's just absolutely fantastic. It's one of my highlights of the whole year. He was slightly off on the high note in the first semi, but if he can get that right, then I think this stands a chance. I think it's being underrated, and it would go straight to my number one easily if they picked it.
Wow, Isaac, I completely agree with most of what you said. This Smash Into Pieces were my number one last year as well. I absolutely loved 6 Feet Under. I feel like this one is not as strong as 6 Feet Under, but it still holds ground in this Melodifestivalen final. I don't think it has a chance to win purely because Sweden is the most predictable and boring country when it comes to results. And I feel like this, the reason why I want this to go for Sweden is, Sweden likes to think it's the world dominant producer of current music. And I don't, is it though? Is it? But if this song went to Eurovision, I think they can flex. I think they can flex that title they like to give themselves every so often, and it's very often. But they're not going to send this, are they? So what's left to flex? We'll talk about it later. But no, I think this is really good, and it's a pity because I think, most Melfest debuts, some of them are very strong, but always when they come back a year later, they don't hit as hard as they did before, For me, at least, Lisa Ajax, back in the day, when she came back the second time, wow. Arguably Victoria as well. This one is a little bit of a letdown in comparison to a huge debut, but I think it still holds ground.
Heroes Are Calling, out of 10. Isaac?
It's a 10.
For me, this is a 9. Sophie?
Same here, 9.
Shaun?
It's an 8.
Wow.
Next up, we have Jacqline with Effortless. This song sounds to me like it's from the 90s, which is not necessarily a bad thing because currently the charts are full of songs that sound like they're from the 90s. However, I feel that they haven't tried hard enough here. The beats during the song are pretty basic, and especially the ones that lead you to the chorus. And the lyrics are also extremely cheesy and very cringe, because call the police because you stole my heart. Like, sorry, I need more than that. And I also want some better musical arrangements. Vocally, this was fine, but like, that's kind of like the only good thing I can really say. Sorry.
And the disagreements begin again. No, you're completely you're completely right. The lyrics are cheesy, but for some reason I don't mind. I think Jacqline is such a brilliant performer, and she's got such strong stage presence. And the beats you were talking about that you thought were basic, I think they're so like addictive and catchy, that kind of bass line. And I'm going to bring back in my K-pop knowledge now, but Cazzi was one of the producers on this track, and you can definitely hear the kind of her influence in it. And this is a kind of song that definitely would feel at home in a girl group like Red Velvet's discography, who are one of my favorite K-pop groups. And yeah, I just love it. The performance was great. The staging was really cool. Yeah, a strong contender, and I think it's a fan favorite. So it might do better than expected.
Can I just add one small thing? I want these boxy stagings to disappear. These pink boxes, for the love of God and all that is holy, that's enough. Seriously, Sacha Jean-Baptiste, please spare us. That's all. Thank you.
The fans are going to hate me for this one. I'll start this off with a 4. Sophie?
8.
Shaun?
7.
Isaac?
7.
We continue with J. Smith and Back to My Roots.
Yeah, this might be surprising to some people, but I don't mind pop country. I mean, massive Taylor Swift fan. Her first album has some of my favorite Taylor Swift songs of all time. So I do enjoy that kind of nostalgic, maybe like late 2000s country pop sound. But unfortunately, this is just a little bit too basic. Nothing really stands out about it. I know that 2 of the songwriters are Smith and Thell, who are a big kind of country duo from Sweden, and my friend has recommended me some of their songs, and they're really enjoyable, more kind of upbeat and catchy. But yeah, for me, this is kind of lackluster. I think this suffers a similar fate as Annika Wickihalder, that this only kind of qualified for the final because it was in that last heat. So yeah, I mean, sometimes a country kind of, they always have a couple of these in Sweden. Sometimes a few kind of trickle into the final, but they never do very well. Unfortunately, I think this is probably going to come last.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very popular, but I don't mind it. It's all right. I like this sort of thing, but I don't think it's great, and it's still one of my lowest ones in the Melfest final. But I still like it. I reckon I probably like it more than most people do, to be honest. It's fine. It's catchy, but there's not really much more to say than that. The lyrics we've sort of heard before. The vocals are good. The staging we've seen before. It's fine. Yeah. But I don't have anything else to add than that. It's okay. I like it, and it's there, and it won't do great.
Out of 10, Sophie?
5.
Shaun?
Justice for Gunilla. It's a 1.
Isaac?
6.
6 for me as well. We got the song 10, and that's Unforgettable, performed by Marcus and Martinus. The way I see this is that this is what Sweden does best, and that is what Sweden already did back in 2018 with Dance You Off. Like, they try and distract you with like a super cleverly thought through, mesmerizing, flashing performance, and you're just not going to pay attention to the song. And this is what happened when I was watching this for the first time. And in order to actually pay attention to the song, I had to go on Spotify and listen to it there. And I don't know, this is another foot tapper. It's a bit dated, but it's quite good. Not great, but good. And what really pushes it over the line for me is the actual stage performance. The guys, together with the dancers, they bring a whole bunch of energy onto the stage. They perform the song very well. They're vocally pretty good. And I believe that they're gonna very easily be up for that top spot, and quite deservedly so, I would say.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Listen, Moroccan and Marcus and Martinus are... they just don't convince me at all as performers. And the reason why I genuinely believe that is last year, I was not feeling Air at all. And 2 or 3 months after Eurovision, like Eurovision, not Melfest, you know that phase where you just don't know what to play in the car, and anything that comes up, you just bop your head to it. And that's where my love for Air was born. And I said, oh my God, this song is good. This song is really good. But it was because of them as performance that I was really not sold in Melfest. And I'm back on that story this year. I actually don't think Unforgettable is that forgettable. Like, as a song, I think it's well produced. I don't think it has it doesn't have much of a melody, which is a problem, but it's not as bad as I thought Air was last year. But what's the stage like? is the staging that great? It's just a bunch of bars on the side and they're just moving frantically. I don't get why this has to represent Sweden this year. Like, they have so many options. Sweden could just choose to be original for once in their lives. And this is the one that's on the top of the betting odds, and this is probably going to go to Eurovision. And the irony, though, again, Sweden wins, and on home soil, you're going to let yourself be represented by Norwegians? Like, where's the flag? Where is the pride? Where? I don't know. I'm just confused. This is not forgettable, but it's not memorable either. It's not unforgettable, that's for sure.
Don't worry, Shaun. Come August, you're gonna like it because you listen to it in your car.
I might, but I won't let you know.
You're gonna let me know your score very shortly. I'm gonna kick this off with a 9. Sophie?
7.
Shaun?
5.
Isaac?
Yeah, it's overrated. It's a 7 though.
Second to last act is Dani Saucedo with Happy That You Found Me.
Again, I'm sorry. What? Like, come on, Dani Saucedo, you've done better in the past. Why are you showing up on the Melodifestivalen stage? Number one, why are you showing up wearing H&M clothes? Number two, this is a performance that I think requires some sort of choreography. Why is he standing there alone as if he's in some LED church looking like an H&M model? Why? That's literally the question that comes to mind when I watch that performance. Why? And I was never a fan of his past songs that he's so famous for, but at least I can enjoy the performance. I forgot which song it was, but there were the dancers with like the neon lights.
Amazing.
Well, that was amazing. But the performance, I never liked those songs, but the performance, come on, you can be objective and say at least it was something back then. But this is just no. I'm not happy that this song found me at all. I'm not happy that it found its place in Melodifestivalen, and I would be really curious to see what this does in the final, because I actually came around Dandy Dansa the other time, but that song wasn't Swedish. That song had a great staging, and it was actually quite an earworm. This might be the theme song for H&M Reels in 2024.
Just to be clear, this video is not sponsored by H&M.
I knew we were going to agree on this one. Disagree on this one, Shaun. Yeah, I mean, it is a bit outdated. It's been done before. It's nothing new or innovative or exciting. It is kind of a recycled 2010 song, but for some reason, I just really enjoy it. I think maybe it's something to do with the fact that this year has been so crazy and countries are picking kind of really out there acts, just to kind of turn on Melodifestivalen and get like a classic Melfest song. It's just, I don't know, something comforting about it, maybe. Maybe it's because it's Dani Saucedo and it would be nice to see him finally get a shot at Eurovision. I don't know, but I did really like this one, and I didn't really have any problems with the staging. I thought it was quite good. Maybe a little bit static. He did kind of stand on the spot for the whole thing, but yeah, it's just something about this that's so likable to me. I don't know why. Maybe it had something to do with like the bit they've added this bit to Melfest this year where they're kind of circling around the audience and stuff, singing the song when they go through to the final. But it's just something about that was so likable, and he seems like such a nice character. And I do really like the song as well. It's not just because I think he's a nice guy, but yeah, I like this one. I think maybe this could be a surprise winner. I did think when I heard it in the semi, like, this is quite Swedish, so I think it might do better than people expect.
Let's see how he's going to do here. Shaun, out of 10?
3.
Isaac?
8.
I'm closer to Shaun, 4. Sophie?
I'm close to Isaac, 8.
Last but not least, we have Medina with Que Sera.
Yeah, this is great. This is just an absolute classic. It's so much fun. It's got the fun and the joy that Carrier brought. I think it's just infectious. I can't see anyone not loving this. The staging is brilliant. Their vocals are really good as well. Actually, for a song that you wouldn't think is vocally that complex, they were spot on. And it's one of the rare times when I think a key change works perfectly. It's exactly what it needs. And the pyros, it had everything it should have had. It was cheesy in all the best ways. They won the second chance round in 2022, and I think this song is better than that. So I really think this could be an underdog and surprise people. I think it's fantastic. It's fun, it's catchy, and I'm really glad that it made it to the final.
I do agree with one thing that you said, and that is that they really threw everything in it. They threw even the kitchen sink into it. But for me, this one is nowhere near as good as their last entry because it just simply doesn't have that anthemic sound. This one sounds like something I would hear like on a beach in the Caribbean or like in South America or something like that. That's where it would work. But on Melfest and for Eurovision, for me, it just doesn't work. They really brought everything. There was a massive party on stage. The stage performance was, in my view, better than the song really is. And I don't even completely get the construction of the song because at one point, like you just have this like high energy and then it just like drops silent out of nowhere. And it really ruins the impression for me. Like, I don't know, I wanted to like this a lot more than I did because I really like their previous entry. That was, if I remember correctly, that was my favorite 2 years ago. But this one is just like really nowhere near. Sorry. Que sera? Out of 10. Isaac?
9.
For me, I'm afraid this is a 5. Sophie?
In between you two, 7.
Shaun?
Yeah, I'm also between. I thought the other time was better, but this is okay. It's a 7.
As you can see, the favorites of the 4 of us are Smash Into Pieces, who scored 36 points. In a distant second, we have Dotter, who scored 30, and we have a tie for 3rd place between Marcus and Martinus and Medina, who scored 28. Now, this is all based on our personal thoughts and opinions, but let's try and predict who's going to win Melodifestivalen in 2024 and represent Sweden in Sweden.
I'd really, really love Sweden to pick Smash Into Pieces and just take a risk and send a rock act. We don't have any apart from San Marino, and let's not even talk about that. It's awful. But yeah, I would just really love to see Sweden take a risk, and I think Smash Into Pieces would do really well at Eurovision, but it's not going to happen. I think it's going to be Marcus and Martinus. If not, maybe Jacqline or Danny Saucedo.
Sophie, we disagreed a lot on this review. However, I would like to end on a positive note. I'd love to see Smash Into Pieces smashing the stage into pieces in Malmö. Or it's not gonna happen, but let me while we're in Fantasyland, Dotter deserves it. Come on, that performance is beautiful. That song is worth more than the 23 points that Benjamin Ingrosso got, which have been compared to another act that I will mention in about 10 seconds. And I think it would be great. But Sweden's going to do none of that. It's not going to surprise us. And it's going to be Marcus and Martinus.
I don't think it's definitely going to be Marcus and Martinus, to be honest. I think there are too many sort of upbeat electro-pop type songs, sort of Swedish things that we tend to see that are going to cancel each other out. There's honestly about 6 or 7 different ones I could see taking it, but I think it will be someone that stands out. And for me, the options are Smash Into Pieces, Medina, or Dotter, because each of those 3 is popular and stands out in that genre. I want it to be Smash Into Pieces, but if I had to guess, even though I have no real idea, I'm going to say Dotter.
I don't know. For me, this entire Melodifestivalen is like weaker than average, and I only see 2 contenders, and those are Smash Into Pieces and Marcus and Martinus. And I would maybe prefer it to be Smash Into Pieces, but I think that Sweden is going to go for Marcus and Martinus. Thank you all for watching. Let us know in the comment section down below whether you agree or maybe disagree with any of our thoughts and opinions, and also let us know how you would score each of these songs out of 10. Also, subscribe to our channel for the only other review video that's coming up, and that's going to be Portugal, but there's a whole bunch of interviews and loads of different kinds of content coming up with Eurovision participants. I want to thank Sophie, Shaun, and Isaac for joining me for this video, and we're going to see you very shortly with our Portuguese review. Bye, everyone.